freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 502 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by Pot of Gold Estate Auctions. That's POGauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, collectibles, coins, jewelry, antiques, boats, cars, you name it. POGauctions.com. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is Arming Americans with Their Rights. And our guest is Mark Walters. Mark is the syndicated host of the national radio program Armed American Radio.
Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Oh, it's great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's so funny because, Dan just, said Mark Walters, and I think, he just wants to pair you up with the gun brand, right?
The most high quality guns
there you go.
High quality radio guy and high quality gun. So I do that. My daughter all the time, because we talk about you all the time, Mark.
Freudian slip. Yeah.
And she says, it's not how you say it. And she'll tell me 10 times enough.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, we are excited to have you back on, and we're excited about a new collaboration that we have with your show. So of course, Pot of Gold, POGauctions sponsors our own show, but we own Pot of Gold Auctions. It's our own business. And so just very recently we were talking with you and realizing we have an amazing opportunity to expand our audience to your humongous audience. Yeah. And so we are now one of your advertisers, collaborators on your show. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I like to say partners.
I like that.
Because it's exactly what it is. It's the best definition, because we all work together in this field. Cheryl, I've known you for many years. Danny, I've known you for many years. And as we've continued to grow over the years, and when we get a chance, I'll mention, because we do have, and you guys are unaware of this, but we've added a whole slew of new affiliates over the last month. So listeners hearing about POG auctions, Pot of Gold auctions, there are now more in many more cities across the country that will be hearing about it. So as we continue to grow, you continue to grow, we all continue to grow, and we get our message out across the country to a more vast and wide audience, which is our ultimate goal, because the other side never stops.
Right.
We can't ever stop, right? But yeah, we're proud of that collaboration with Pot of Gold Auctions. And of course, it's benefiting Walk the Talk America, another great organization that's doing God's work relative to suicide prevention, which is something as gun owners we should all be very concerned with. Why? Well, because the other side uses those numbers to bolster their spending to come after our guns and uses it to blame us. So it's a good collaboration all the way around, and I'm proud of it. It's good to be working with you guys, and I've known you guys for so long. It just works.
It really does.
And the suicide problem is not just about guns.
Mm-hmm.
No,
we need to talk about the problem with the suicide, not the gun part of it. Because if a person is wanting to commit suicide, he's going to use whatever he has.
And Walk the Talk is dealing with the core issues, but also trying to expand the conversation, so it's taking the stigma out of it with the mental health community. And the reason we're mentioning Walk the Talk is because we, with Pot of Gold Auctions, we partner and collaborate with a select few organizations that we do benefit auctions for, that they get all of the money. And so Walk the Talk was one that we just finalized. And you were so generous, Mark, to have the founder, Michael Sodini, on your show like 3 times leading up to that auction. And I know it ended up resulting in more money to go into their mission. So I appreciate that. We also do one for Armed Women of America. We've just completed one for Gun Owners of America. And we've done one for, or a couple of them for Hold My Guns. And so, I think we all have that mindset that we need to serve a bigger purpose than
Sure.
simply, like with our business. If it was just money in, money out, I'm bored already. There has to be something more. With your show, you are serving in so many ways to help educate and inform the public, arming Americans with their rights. If we don't know what's broken, we can't possibly fix it. And
Yeah.
so you've done such a great job of that on your show. And I just wanted to ask you in that vein, like, what do you articulate either to yourself or to your audience? What is your mission? What drives your work?
Oh, that's a pun intended here. That's a loaded question. Um, yeah, I got to go back to 2002 to even begin an answer on that. And I know you know my story, but my daughter was 2 weeks old. She had just been born 2 weeks earlier, and I was heading to work. I owned a truckload brokerage company down in Tampa, Florida. And I don't know what made me holster my firearm that morning at 6 o'clock when I left for my office, because I hadn't yet made the decision back then to carry my gun with me everywhere I went. I just hadn't gotten there yet. Had my Florida permit shortly after moving there in 1991, carried my gun most of the time, but not all of the time. And I holstered my firearm that day. In less than 5 minutes, as I was sitting or approaching a traffic light, an attempted carjacking would unfold right in front of me, and two individuals would get out of that vehicle and direct their attention toward me when they couldn't get in the car they were attempting to get into. And I unholstered, was carrying a Glock 36 at that time in an old holster brand. I don't even know that they're still out there anymore, by the name of Side Armor, who invited me to rep them at the first SHOT Show I went to 26 years ago, as a matter of fact, as a result of that. And that kind of led me into writing for magazines and a number of columns that were picked up by a number of outfits, humanevents.com. And I, of course, wrote for Concealed Carry Magazine for about 14 years after that. And that eventually led to the radio program. Now, to those listeners or viewers who might not know what happened that day, I pointed my firearm at two people and it stopped their motion and movement against me and anybody else, and they fled the scene. So I didn't have to fire a shot that day. I became one of the 95% statistics of the people who draw a handgun and never have to fire it, thank God, but I would have. And that opened my eyes to a lot of things, because we hear about 1 to 2 million people a year using a gun defensively. Millions of people have used firearms since that time to defend themselves, but it never really makes national news, as it should. These are amazing human interest stories that should be talked about. Mm-hmm. Imagine where we would be with our gun rights if the media portrayed the proper legal defensive use of a firearm accurately. Imagine where we likely wouldn't have the gun control efforts that we currently have right now if the media framed it differently. So all of that writing turned into Armed American Radio, and we've been on the air now. April 27th marks our 17th anniversary, or excuse me, April 26th marks our 17th anniversary, and April 27th marks the start of our 18th year on the nation's airwaves. And since that time period, we have grown by leaps and bounds over the years. Tom Gresham, my good friend, Tom was running Gun Talk for a good 15 years prior to that. I think he's in his 31st year now in 2026. So he's had a remarkable run. And we wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to get more involved in the politics of guns, which just happened to be at the right time. And that struck a chord, and Armed American Radio exploded from that point on. And yeah, I've never left my home without a firearm since that incident ever again, unless I've been disarmed by law, unless I'm sitting in an aircraft or something like that. But other than that, my firearm resides with me everywhere I go. It's on my hip right now. I've got a couple sitting here in the studio with me, and some strategically placed throughout the house. So I that was a life-changing decision. But I made the call that I was going to go home to my 2-week-old daughter that day, and I did. And thank God I had a gun that day. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't. Mm-hmm. I could have been dragged out of a car. There were multiple attackers. Who knows what would have happened? But it didn't, because I drew a firearm, period, and never had to fire it. Right. So it was a life-changing and life-altering experience, but that's what brought us here. So the mission is to answer that question, And having given you that long-winded answer is to inform people that they have the right to do so and they need to exercise that right to do so. A firearm sitting in your glove box when you're in Walmart isn't doing you any good. A firearm sitting in your house on top of your refrigerator or in a safe isn't doing you any good when you're asleep at night. Have that firearm with you. You have a right, exercise it or lose it, because there is a well-funded effort, as you well know, coming after our right to keep and bear arms every single day in this country. And that is the core mission of Armed American Radio, is to have some fun, keep people informed, and cover the stories about our gun rights that matter that the mainstream press won't ever touch, sadly.
Absolutely. So it's interesting, you talked about, part of the mission is, to discuss the politics, because so many people are like, well, I don't do politics. And what's the old phrase, right? Well, politics is happy to do you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Every minute of every day, every way.
See Virginia, by the way, if you question
Yeah.
that, okay?
Virginia.
That's a cool
So,
thought.
I know it really is.
Politics
Ignore I
is
said
me.
that. Ignore
Oh.
that I said that.
I
We're
get
good.
it. It's cool. You're safe with me.
So there's the politics of it. There's also, the never-ending push from the other side to not only change the language of things, which we need to understand and get ahead of, just like with the assault rifle, which is actually an Armalite, right? The AR-15 is an Armalite. Even our side bought into that and thought, that sounds kind of cool, right? I want to have one of those. And we do that at our own peril. Well, just now we had Holly Sullivan, who is with the CCR-KBA, Citizens for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms.
Citizens Committee. She sits on the board with me, so it's I'll
Yes.
do that. Because we've argued at board meetings over the many years. Should we shrink the name? We've talked about it. Citizens
Trip over
Committee
it.
for the Right to, Citizens
Every
Committee for the Right to
time.
Keep and Bear Arms. It's CCR-KBA, Citizens Committee for the Right
Yeah.
to Keep and Bear Arms.
And and so she was saying how in her state of Connecticut, right, and Massachusetts, which is next door, and where our nation began, right now there's this brand new phrase called a convertible pistol, right? You also mentioned you used a Glock
That's a
to
convertible pistol.
to protect your life. Well, suddenly, even the law enforcement agencies, like within the matter of just a few days, began adopting this new phrase to describe a Glock. And so if you don't think that's not a coordinated effort, then we're blind. But it was just interesting how you layered all of that together. A Glock saved your life. Politics are at play constantly. The other side never sleeps. And here they are right now in real time, changing the language so that we are constantly playing catch up. Now, if we could jump ahead of that and somehow either ridicule this phrase or, do something to take the legitimacy that they're trying to build into it, this your show, our show, this is the soil for doing that, right? This is where we discuss it. This is where we have an opportunity to inform, this is happening, and then maybe try to discuss, well, what can we do about it? What do you think about that piece of it, knowing that culture really does drive ultimately the laws that come along?
Let's unpack that, because everything you said is 100% to my cousin Vinny, dead on, blank, accurate. You're spot on with that. But here's the problem we face. I use the term, the left has hijacked the language, which is what they've done. And we can give you numerous examples. Let's use some very recent ones. Virginia, an assault weapon is now redefined as an assault firearm. Okay.
There they go.
Standard capacity magazines are now called high capacity ammunition feeding devices by the left, the radical left. And that would include this right here and this is just a standard 9mm Glock handgun magazine. But to the left, this is a high capacity ammunition feeding device. I mean, it's a joke. However, it's not a joke because the mainstream media latches onto this stuff. And this is the problem that we have, and we run into it every single day. And that is mainstream media gets a hold of this nonsense and begins to drive this narrative. And the politicians, if you've seen the montages, I don't care what the topic is, pick a Democrat talking point and you'll see a montage of every single one of them at every level of Democrat politics, including media personalities, mentioning the exact same bullet points on multiple different programs across multiple different platforms. This is a coordinated effort. This is not happenstance. Politicians pick up on it. They create the new phrase. They feed it to the media. The media drives the narrative. And too many dummies, and I'm sorry, guys, but a lot of you out there are stupid, fall for this stuff. And that's why and I'm not particularly pointing to our viewers here, right, but I'm speaking metaphorically about people out there that fall for this nonsense because all they do is they headline surf. They read that's exactly what that headline is designed to do, is to trick you into thinking you've read the story by reading the headline.
Right.
And then maybe buried way down there, way below the fold, to use the old newspaper term, they mention something about a standard capacity magazine or a 10-round magazine or a 15 or 20 or 30-round magazine. But it's never in the headline because they know, oh, we're so busy nowadays. They get away with this stuff. They do. And it's why it's very important that we talk about it here. We talk about it on Armed American Radio. And I like to use the phrase, we have to take our language back. It was Rush Limbaugh that said words mean things, right? You remember El Rushbo, we miss him greatly, but he used to say words mean things, and they do. So you have to look at what the Democrats are saying and go into it knowing that everything they say is driving a particular agenda. And in this case, it's an anti-gun agenda. And as much as I hate to admit this, they are wildly effective at it. Yes. They are extremely good at it. They have more powerful media than we do behind us because they have mainstream media, as our friend Alan Corwin used to say, ABC and NBC, so we can all CBS. But they have that powerful media stream behind them that's driving that narrative. And as a result of that, we tend to find ourselves playing defense all the time, guys. And I hate to be in that position. But when it comes to mainstream media, it's very difficult to fight that battle because they are so well funded, and the anti-gun left is very well aware of that. They know they have them in their hip pocket. So it's why they don't want us talking about it. I say when I close out the show every day, we're going to get up and do this again tomorrow, precisely because they don't want us to. That's why we do it, and we will continue to do it. As long as God gives me breath in my lungs, we're going to continue to do it. And how do you fight it? You talk about it, you expose it to as many people as you possibly can. And then you try to reach more people and more people and more people through all of these platforms that we have available to us now that the other side has co-opted in just a radically effective way. They've been very good at it. We have to give credit where it's due. We have to be honest.
Absolutely. To me, it all started when they said weapon. I honestly don't own a single weapon. I hate that. I hate that term. A weapon seems something that you use against somebody else in an aggressive manner when it's not. It's a defense tool, but it's a firearm. It's exactly what it is. It's a firearm. It's nothing more. It's not a weapon. It's not convertible. I mean, you can convert any gun, any gun. But I'm trying to see, what would a Glock look like convertible? With a little top that comes off.
Oh, that's all I can think of is a car.
I guess that means the slide comes off, right? And the bullet's riding with the top down. I mean, who knows? These guys, these people don't know what they're saying. They concoct this stuff that sounds good to them in some type of, meeting, who knows?
Focus group.
Some focus group.
Didn't California, when they come with this convertible thing, didn't California ban the older Glocks now because they said they're too convertible? Yeah. And so it is a game.
It really is. And you're living proof that that firearm made all the difference that day and still never harmed a soul.
Correct.
So did you have the top down on that gun?
Yeah, no, I did not. Now, I will say this without mentioning any names. I'm glad I didn't have to fire that gun that day, because I know for a fact that my third round would have been a fail to feed or fail to eject. And that's because I had I won't name the company name, but I had a laser device. Let's use one of the left type of terms in that gun. That the spring, I had a problem with the spring in that gun, and I had not yet gotten that repaired. It was still there. Now there were two of them, and my first two shots would have come off clean. It would have been my third. So yeah, okay, there's that.
So just for the listeners to know, Mark. So after you exposed your gun, did you call the police?
I did not. I was sitting in traffic, and it was funny because ironically, I'm the one getting honked at now to move my car because it unfolded in about a 35 to 40 second time frame that others around me likely didn't even see what happened. It was about 6:20 in the morning, November 18th to be exact, in Florida, on a Monday, day after a Buccaneer game. I'll never forget that. But yeah, it was ironic because all of a sudden I was the one blocking traffic because I'm sitting there for a second wondering, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 26. That was 26 years ago.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays I would be afraid that they would turn around and say that you pulled a gun on them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, keep in mind back in those days, these things were very rare.
Right.
If anybody had them. Most of them at the time were the big bag phones, or they had them in a car phone with a cord on it or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was back in 2002, and these iPhones didn't come out until 2007, so they were not prevalent.
Right.
But I got back to the office, which was only about 5 minutes away, and one of the people that I used to work with was a Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputy, had later become a Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputy. I contacted her, Debbie, and talked with her at great length. And I'm very confident and comfortable that I was well within Florida law to do what I did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she, made that very clear that I was as well too. But
if you wouldn't had your gun with you, you might have even had a stolen car and been dead. So.
Oh yeah, there's no way to know what would have happened. What I can tell you positively, what didn't happen because I had a gun, I can tell you what didn't happen. I don't know what would have or could have.
Absolutely.
It would be great if national media would expose these things, let that out so that people would know,
No, that would show guns in a positive way. And you see, that's the problem here. They will do, as you guys know, Danny, Cheryl, you guys both know that they're never going to do that.
Right.
They will never show guns in a positive way. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen, as you watch and listen to this. Think about how the narrative would be different if mainstream media, as much as I hate to say this too, but most Americans, even in cable and streaming and everything else, most Americans still get their news from ABC, NBC, so we can all CBS on the major networks. Right. We still do. But imagine if those three top networks, including Fox and others, covered the story of the individual, of the Collier County Sheriff's deputy who made a traffic stop and was being beaten within an inch of his life. And the guy was trying to get his gun, and it was a white cop, black perp, and a black Florida concealed carry permit holder that shot and killed the guy trying to kill the cop. Imagine, why was this not a top story on every one of the networks years ago when it occurred? As it should have been. Right. Imagine the narrative that would change at that point. You'd have more people say, you know what, I'm going to arm myself, and the media can't have that, can they?
It's a lie.
And we've had that happen in Arizona too, where a highway patrol was attacked. But the thing is, Mark, you're telling these stories, we're telling these stories. The people that are hearing the stories are the people that already know. How do we get to the people that don't know? But how do we get them to listen to us? Because it's a great thing. It would cure everything. If people knew how many people's lives were saved just by drawing a firearm.
Well, I can say this. That's a good question. And Cheryl, I think, did you just mention the term lie of omission?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. It's a lie by omitting the truth, by not telling people what happened. Why? Because they don't like that narrative. They don't want the outcome, right. Which is, as far as I'm concerned, that should be criminal behavior. When news organizations feed us false information or refuse to give us the truth, as far as I'm concerned, that's criminal. And the people at the top, from the bottom, all the way from the top down, who are reporting this nonsense or not reporting it, should be held accountable legally, I believe, when they've been given First Amendment protections to tell Americans the truth, and they don't. That's a whole different topic for a whole different show. But, Danny, we just added a whole bunch of stations here. Let me see if I can pull some of these up for the program. We just added Honolulu, Hawaii, AM and FM. And by the way, if anybody in Honolulu is watching and you're with KRHN, I've never been to Honolulu. I'd be more than happy to come to a live broadcast. We just picked up Casper, Wyoming, KVOC, AM and FM, Huntington, West Virginia, WNRJ, AM and FM, WOBX in Wanchese, North Carolina, Waverly, Ohio, 660 AM, 95.9 FM, and a host of other stations that are now carrying the broadcast. The reason I mention that is we're proud of the growth, as we've, now airing on hundreds of radio stations. But more important than that, I can promise you we're reaching the other side. And I've got some of the hate emails to prove it. Okay. So, people say, oh, radio, I get my stuff from podcasts. Well, my show is a podcast. Your show is a podcast. You go out over the airwaves. People can get it. We've been podcasting, to use that phrase, before podcasting was even a word. We put our radio program out there for listeners to go get for almost 2 decades now. Okay. And we're just now beginning to pick up and take back our social media. Our YouTube channel is growing. We're putting content out every day. We're streaming the video of the show right here from the studios live as we're on the radio. So we're reaching some of those people. Okay. I know it feels like we sit in an echo chamber sometimes. And in many cases we do. When we sit at a gun rights policy conference, we are in an echo chamber. There's no question about that. My question has been, why can't we get Fox News or ABC or NBC or CBS to cover a gun rights policy conference event? Why can't we get C-SPAN there, for example? Why can't we get some other streamers out there in today's day and age? So that has always been a challenge. And one of the other challenges that we face as well is age demographic.
Yes.
Okay. And how do we reach a younger audience? My kids are 21 and 23. Cheryl, you met my kids when they were 8 and 10. Okay. You've seen my kids grow up. My kids go to the Turning Point conventions now. And that's because we've raised really good, young, conservative, active children. And they're wonderful. They believe deeply in these causes or they wouldn't be doing it. Mm-hmm. And I think we should be looking more towards how some of these groups that are reaching some of these younger people are doing that. Mm-hmm. And begin doing that. Mm-hmm. And we are not yet doing that. And we need to. There's certain demographics. I know what the demographics of my show are: 45 to 65, average income, $120,000+ a year. I know what the average spend is on firearms related materials, that kind of thing. We know what the average quarter hour is, but how do we reach that under 45 crew? Mm-hmm. My demographic might not be on my platforms the way to do that. Okay. But there are others out there. Collier Noir is doing wonderful work out there. I'm pretty sure he's got a little bit younger demographic. Mm-hmm. We got our good friends Jared Yanis on YouTube, 787,000 crazy followers on YouTube. Heavy Duty Country. Dan's doing great work out there. Right. You've got Hickok 40. There's all these different platforms. But you're right. Overall, it tends to be an echo chamber. But in today's day and age, isn't that true with anything? A certain viewer watches Fox, a certain viewer watches CNN, and whatever MSDNC is calling themselves nowadays. Yeah. Okay. So they're all reaching their own particular groups. The fact is, this is a polarized nation. I don't see that changing anytime soon. In fact, I see it getting far worse over time. And I blame media and social media for a lot of those problems, which is doing tremendous damage to the psyche of this nation. Platforms like X, love the free speech out there, but I would advise you, if you don't have a Twitter account, formerly known as Twitter X, don't go get one. It's a crap hole. It's a cesspool. Stay away from it. Okay. But if you do, understand what it is you're getting, right? Yeah. You've got liberals left X to go to Blue Sky. They live in their Blue Sky world and they still troll over on Twitter, and there's conservatives that troll over on Blue Sky, but predominantly we know where if you're a Democrat watching the news, you're likely watching CNN, ABC, NBC, or CBS, or you're watching MSDNC or whatever they call themselves today. Mm-hmm. If you're reading a newspaper and you're Democrat, you're likely reading the USA Today or the New York Times or the Washington Post. If you're a Republican, you're reading the Washington Times. You're certainly not reading the Atlanta Journal-Constitution rag. Okay, so we're all in our camps. Mm-hmm. And the honest answer to that, how do we get out of that? I don't really have the answer to that in today's day and age when there are so many choices. People want their own beliefs to be reaffirmed. So they go to places where they're going to get that reaffirmation. And that's how they believe and why they argue and why they think they're right and why nobody listens to anybody's point of view anymore. But I remember back in the day, because I am old enough, that before all this crap and all this nonsense, we could talk to each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And those days are over. They're over. They are. I don't even bother anymore. And one of the mottos on my show, I don't talk to them, I talk about them. Mm-hmm. And I will never stop doing that. Ever.
Well, I will say this, that I don't think I'm being Pollyanna in saying this, but the fact that you are on terrestrial radio and somebody could happen on your show while they're stuck in traffic, hopefully not getting carjacked, right? That you do have that opportunity to reach people in that way. And I do feel that over the course of the last election, where I saw Donald Trump really coalition build, right? He drew people from the independent vote. He drew people from the libertarian vote. And so there are new eyes and ears. I do believe younger, at least semi-curious about what the rest of this is about. So I don't feel like all is lost. But I definitely don't discount at all what you're saying, that our news feeds are very propagandized, right? People tune into Fox because they want to be affirmed more than informed. And, it takes a certain curious mindset to go beyond that and say, well, what
Yeah.
would the other side say about this? So I'm hoping and praying that there are still enough of those people in the next crop of young people coming up, since the Charlie Kirk murder, right? I think there are more people that maybe are a little bit
Yeah.
more curious than they were before. So these are the things I hope for. But
I have a comment on this. Mark, I've been around the gun business all my life. My dad was very active in trying to keep our rights for guns. The light at the end of the tunnel that I see, there is a light coming, and that is women being involved. Women are social
It's a good
butterflies.
point.
They get their kids involved. If the parents get their kids involved and tell them that the bullshit that I just said that. I'm sorry,
That's
but I'm
okay.
angry. The schools, what the schools are teaching the kids. So the parents need to get involved, and the women are doing that. You've seen the change. More women involved, more things happening.
there's
That's
women
the
on both sides of the
There
argument.
is, but there's
So
more. Most
Well,
women are pretty smart, and the smart women, there's more of them.
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take
look,
that.
I think you're both absolutely spot on. But I do want to comment on this as well too. It used to drive me nuts when I would call my father every day. My dad just turned 87. God bless him. He's doing great. My mom just turned 86. They're doing wonderful. Birthdays this past month. But it drove me nuts for years when I would pick the phone up and call them in the morning just to talk to him, and all I could hear was Fox News in the background all day.
Yeah.
Or I'd get over to my mom and dad's house, and my dad would get up every 5 minutes and go read the Drudge Report. And that drove me just bat crazy.
Right.
And it dawned on me, well, I get up and I start my day with that too. Why? And then it dawned on me as I began doing this, as the years went by, why do I want to get up pissed off every morning and start my day with this divisive crap at 6 o'clock in the morning? Why do I want to start my day that way when I can go here, I can go here and get whatever I want when I want it? And it changed my life. So my advice to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're one of these folks that gets up every day, politics anger you, why are you turning this garbage on first thing in the morning? Have a cup of coffee, go sit out on the front porch, listen to the birds chirp in the spring, put some music on, relax, stay in bed a little bit longer, live your life. There is plenty of time for this nonsense. Okay. And in today's day and age, the beauty of some of this, and it's a double-edged sword. I get it. You have to know how to responsibly use it. But the beauty is you can get it 24/7. The same thing that I hate about it is it's positive. You can get it when you want it. You're not forced, because all of us in this room here are old enough to remember when we got our news at 6:30 at night, and Walter Cronkite was the driving force. There were two other networks nobody even paid attention to. And at midnight, the TV, I almost said computer, the television screen turned to snow, an American flag waved, and the national anthem played, and you didn't turn the TV on again until 6 o'clock the next morning when the station came back.
And when you went to dinner or you had dinner, you talked to your family. And you
Yeah.
And how do we do that? How do we talk anymore?
Well, Neil McCabe made a great statement on my show that I have used ever since, and I'm kind of hijacking it for myself, but I do credit Neil for it. And it came up in a conversation when we were talking about the demographics and the generations. For the most part, the millennial generation has been lost. The millennial generation, and I have family that are millennials that used to be extremely conservative, grew up in conservative environments, that have fallen prey to this nonsense. But you're beginning to see the Gen X and the Gen Z crowd become much more conservative. My kids are much more conservative, as are their friends, and I love it. But the millennial generation, not all of them, don't beat me up on that if you're a millennial watching, not all of you, but the vast majority of you have been. And I think, Danny, I could go on about this forever and ever and ever with all this media stuff, but guys, just use this stuff responsibly. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your head out of it all day. Understand that, let me just real quick wrap up with what Neil said before I get because it's so easy to get sidetracked on this stuff. But I was talking about one of those millennials in my own family who I have no relationship with at this point anymore. And that's by her choice. Too bad. Okay. Yeah. But I accept that. And he says, think about it, Mark, because he's losing his Boston accent on the radio. He goes, think about it, Mark. If you can't even have dinner with them, how are you supposed to have a country with them?
Wow. That's heavy.
And the bottom line is, and we're seeing this every day.
Yeah.
You can't.
Right.
They've divorced you. They've left you.
Right.
The blue states are retreating to blue. We're literally, I believe, watching a national divorce happen right before our eyes. And quite frankly, guys, it sure beats the alternative. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, Mark, I used to, first thing in the morning, look at Fox, and then on the way to work, I'd listen to the financial from Fox. And for the past probably 6 months, I've turned my radio off. It takes me 15 minutes to go to work, and you know who I talk to is God. I talk to him, and it goes in and out because traffic and situations happen. It throws you off, but there's my conversation, and it really helps. So
that's what this thing behind me does. It takes me away from all of the nonsense. The neighbors might have something else to say about that, but that's
how
okay.
Big is that amp? Right?
Well, it's over there, and they refer to it as a stack, so it's pretty big.
Do you have a high capacity amp, Mark?
I have several high capacity. Yeah.
Standard capacity.
You can't have over 6 strings, right? 12 strings are illegal.
Well, and these are convertible too.
We do need to start wrapping up, but there's so many other areas I wanted to dive into, but I think I want to end on this one. What do you see as the most pivotal news story in our current news cycle? And I know they move along, and what is the end of the world on Monday? Nobody even remembers by Wednesday night. But what would you say right now that should be kind of on people's radar that is going to have a longer shelf life and memory life than, the standard, breaking news where we've got to all stop what we're doing and have a knot in our stomach and become instant experts because of the machines we carry around all the time that you're talking about?
That's an interesting question and a great one. And here, my answer to that is short, sweet, and easy: Virginia. And here's why. Because those of you who are watching that listen to Armed American Radio have heard me talk about Virginia. Some have emailed me and said incessantly, I don't live in Virginia. I don't need to hear about Virginia. Oh, yes, you do. And let me explain why. Because
yes,
Virginia, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because Virginia is the playbook that the Democrats are going to use in Washington, D.C., if and when they ever regain all 3 levers of power in D.C., ladies and gentlemen. What happened in Virginia in real time, just like that, I mean, just like that, Virginia was Californicated and New Yorkized overnight. One election, Democrats at all 3 levels of power, 13 anti-gun bills on the Democrats' desk since November, waiting for the Wicked Witch of Virginia, Spanberger, to sign them, and she has pledged to sign every one of them. That is exactly what they have in store for you, plus some. If the Democrats in Washington ever gain power, you had better be paying attention to what is going on in Virginia. It happened quickly, and it will happen overnight if the Democrats ever gain power in Washington. They've seen the playbook, and they're using it right now in the state of Virginia. I have relatives there, many friends there, have long history in Virginia, graduated college there. I have family that still lives there, and it's a mess. And it is exactly what they want for you across this country. That story is far bigger than people give it credit for, is what's going on there, because they are literally showing us the emperor's clothes are off. This is what we have in store for you at the federal level. You think Virginia's tyranny? Wait till it hits Washington, D.C. So it should be a wake-up call to every American voter. I don't want this to happen to me, what happened to Virginia.
And the fork in the road, I'm sorry, the fork in the road was Election Day. That was it. And the people that are losing their minds right now and so upset about what happened in their state, Virginia.
Mhm.
Did every single one of them show up and vote and bring a friend?
Well, that's
I
also
don't
an
think
interesting
so.
question. We've covered that because right now one of the big problems, and Spanberger is getting a lot of heat from this, including from some Democrats, believe it or not, who believe that she's gone too far, and that's the gerrymandering in the state right now to redraw the districts
Mm.
to make it 10-1 Democrat control permanently in Congress out of Virginia. And if you've looked at an electoral college map of counties in the state of Virginia, save for a little pocket around Richmond, Northern Virginia, Roanoke down here, and Norfolk down here, the whole flipping state is red,
Yeah.
but not the way they're redrawing the maps. And she is wildly unpopular. And the reason I mentioned that in answer to your question there is because you've got Republicans that are now going crazy in the state. The turnout has been huge to stop this now, to stop this maneuver. And it looks like it's gaining some steam, and it might very well do it. But my question is, where were all of you on election day?
Thank you.
I have to get
Thank
off the
you.
couch. Oh, come on. I have to push a.
I
Oh, no, man.
don't know. Maybe it's just they're louder now. Maybe it's just, I don't know the answer to that question, but it seems to me, and I've had this conversation with Virginia Citizens Defense League. It is a maddening situation in the state of Virginia right now. They are losing their rights. The governor is going to literally sign them away. And the people of Virginia have to make some decisions now. What are you going to do? Are you going to comply?
Mm-hmm.
You can thank your Democrat legislature and your Democrat governor for forcing you to make that decision, ladies and gentlemen. It's now on you. And too many people have said, you know what? I'm just tuning out. I'm checking out. No man possesses the moral authority to tell me what I can or can't own to defend my life. I'm no longer watching it. I'm not voting anymore. I don't care who's in office. I'm going to live my life, keep my guns, and the hell with all of them. Great. Except during the next election.
Right. So
Okay.
at VCDL, we know that they have put in the work. They are very serious. They are not reactionary. They are very proactive. And even the rally that they hold on the 20th of every January, the biggest one they ever had was there was a threat for the ARs, that sort of thing back in 2020, I think. There was gajillions of people there. You would
50
have
grand, and the media said it was about 5 or 6. There was 50 to
it's cute.
60,000 people there. We have the drone footage to prove it.
Exactly.
But again, more lies.
Exactly.
Mainstream media.
Propaganda.
All propaganda.
But this year, this January, when they already knew they were faced with a Spamberger, they already knew what was coming. The turnout was just kind of, I think, indicative of what the voting turnout was. People are just a little resigned. Like, I think they go, oh, well, we've got a Trump and we've got well, Bondi's out now, or we've got a Kash Patel, or we've got people that they think are somehow going to impact their individual lives in their home in Virginia that really don't, right? We pay way more attention to what goes on federally than we do locally. If they would have been more engaged during voting, maybe during the rally, to help educate people and get them activated and get ahead of this gerrymandering, so all of this stuff, it's always Monday morning quarterbacking. We just need to be more forward thinking.
Well,
And
that rally you're talking about was 1,000 people instead of 50,000 people this go around.
Yeah.
I would have
probably
loved
said it
to
was
have seen,
300.
yeah, right. I mean, I would have loved to have seen 100,000 at this rally, but I understand why that didn't happen. And in large part, I think, based on some family and friends that I know that live there, I've had these conversations with them. A couple who did attend the first rally that you're talking about around the COVID era, which was also another scam and a prank and a hoax, but that's a whole nother show too. We'll go there later. But complacency at this point is very real because they did win. The Democrats did win. And a lot of Republicans go, I can't do anything about it now. I'm outnumbered. They've got me. It doesn't matter if I go at this point. And you know what? In a sense, it doesn't really matter if you go to that rally because it's not going to change the governor's mind. But this is one step in a very long process that has to occur. And there's power in numbers. And Armed American Radio is now working very closely with VCDL to help them grow their base. Because, guys, I want to point out, Virginia, as far as I'm concerned, is the biggest news story going forward because
Yeah.
they're literally they're taking their clothes off for you guys. They're showing you what they're going to do.
Yeah,
You'd better be paying attention.
for sure.
So it's a huge story, and we have to be watching that very, very carefully. Guys, get involved. You don't have to live in Virginia to join VCDL.
Mhm.
It's $25. Join for a year. There's power in numbers. Okay.
I'm a member.
So
We're over
Yeah.
here in Arizona. We're members. So
I'm
All
a
right.
life
Wait,
member of
wait,
AZCDL too.
I have Mark, you made my stomach upset. I'm not going to be able to eat for a couple of days. And I'm being serious about this because a minute ago you said the almost exact words that a member of my family said, that is a big gun owner, that said, I'm not going to vote. I'm going to they're not taking my guns away from me. And it's like, it's a reality. There's so many people out there that think that it will not happen to me. But wait till you need to go buy a box of ammo. Wait till you need to go get a new gun or get a gun fixed.
Right.
All these situations, we're just sitting and letting it happen. I'll bet you in Virginia there's more gun owners than non-gun owners.
Oh, sure.
And yet, so then why do we have a Democratic run state?
Well, there's and I love the term. I do, but there's a lot of FUDs out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who love their over-under, and they don't really care about the AR-15. They don't care about anybody else's pistols. They've got the gun they need.
Right.
And they don't need another gun. And, that begs this question, because I know I have family members that are Democrats. Some of them are old school blue dog Democrats that don't exist anymore, but just have, they're gun owners. They love their gun rights. But you know what? Why do they continue to vote for the party that wants to take their guns? Well, I'll tell you why. Because, they're okay because they don't need another gun. It's not going to impact them. They don't have to get another gun. They're comfortable with what they have.
Hold on, Mark.
I don't mind waiting 30 days. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't mind if I have to take a class. They don't mind because they're not looking at it as a right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hold on. You said you can't be a gun owner if you don't need another gun.
Well,
That's a point. That's a point.
Well, I found out it's not just that old question. How many guns do you really need? Just one more also applies to these. How many guitars do I need? Just one more. Ask my wife.
Right.
All right. We've got to start wrapping up. Amazing
Don't tell me what
discussion.
to do.
I know. I'm doing it. I'm the tyranny in this studio. All right. This has been an amazing discussion. We could just keep
Always
on
fun.
going. But please tell folks, just as we start wrapping up, how do they follow your show digitally, right? Like they can go turn their radio on in more and more cities across the nation every day. But how do they find you digitally?
Real easy, armedamericanradio.com. You can watch the show live there. You can listen to the show live. Please don't watch the show while you're driving. Okay, don't do that. Don't be stupid. You can listen to the show there.
There's skill in that, Mark. Come on.
Yeah, there is skill in there, but not one I want to find out. You can watch the show on YouTube at Armed American Radio. You can watch us on Rumble at Armed American Radio. You can watch us on Facebook at Armed American Radio. About 85,000 Facebook fans over there. But guys, really important is help us grow our YouTube channel. Help us take our social media back. We were blackballed over there for a long time. They're opening the doors for us now, and we really need you to subscribe over at YouTube, youtube.com, and it's at Armed American Radio on YouTube, and help us. We are growing quickly over there, and they're allowing us to get more content out. We're putting shorts out every day. We broadcast live every single day over on YouTube and all the other platforms. Okay. So please help us out over there. We would appreciate it. And of course, the show airs Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 2 Pacific. These are your radios now. You can go to the website and click listen live right here. And Sunday, of course, the Monster Cast, 8 to 11 Eastern time and 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So get in on it.
Love it. Thank you so much for all you do. Can't wait to see you. Probably at, are you going to NRA?
I will have a radio booth not far from you, darling.
I love it. NRA annual meeting later this month. All right. Thank you so much, Mark Walters.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.
We could have done another 4 hours with him.
For reals. I mean, there's 3 questions on my sheet that I didn't get to. But you know what? It's okay. It just gives us a reason to have him back on again. So, my goodness, when you think that Mark's been doing this 17 years, like we've been doing it 10, so almost, half the amount of time as he's done it. Well, he's done it only half the amount of time that Tom Gresham's been doing it. And I know Tom Gresham, Gun Talk, when he started, I believe people were like, what are you going to talk about? Who's going to tune in? You know, we didn't have all the threats to our rights that we do now. And people just thought this is not going to take off. And here he is in his,
Yeah.
what do you say, 31st year. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We've used both of those men as, you know, models of how to formulate our show and our conversations. And we just really appreciate both of them so much. And our show, we are designed specifically to not be appealing to an echo chamber. But I think that even over the course of the 10 years we've been doing it, it's just kind of naturally, you know, we've become more divided. You know, there's less middle ground. There's fewer curious people in general. But then again, like I said, we've got, you know, the horrible murder of Charlie Kirk, I think has made a lot of people take take notice of things and rethink things in a way that they wouldn't have otherwise. And so I do hope that we are still fulfilling our mission of being that neutral space for people who are curious. They don't quite know exactly where they land on the whole guns are good, guns are bad idea. So let us know. Like, let us know if we're hitting that mark. If you're somebody that stumbled on our show or a friend sent it to you, maybe, and that you've considered things that you hadn't before. And I like it even if people are disagreeing. Maybe you're tuning in just to disagree, right? Oh, they're so stupid, the things they say, and I can't believe they interviewed that person. I value that because that means your brain is working it. You're chewing on it. And I'm okay with somebody telling me that something I said was perhaps off the mark, right? I don't think you're going to hear me say something that's untrue, unfactual, but maybe, right? So let us know. Always comment in the sections. And I agree with Mark. You know, YouTube, we have so few subscribers and viewers over there, and it's because it's an echo chamber. So dive in there and help change that. You know, go in there and hit the subscribe, hit the notifications, and let the algorithm shift, right? Let it tell that organization, no, there are viewers that want this stuff over here, to expand that audience. So anyway, thank you to Mark Walters. Thank you to our amazing listeners and viewers all over the planet. I do want to also thank some organizations that help fuel the work that we're doing. Mark is helping fuel the work of Pot of Gold that helps fuel us. But also patriothousehold.com/GFR. This is an invitation only private shopping club where you can get all the same stuff that you can go get at those big box stores, but patriothousehold.com/GFR uses those dollars to fuel our work and to fuel freedom work. And they are American-made products on American soil supporting American jobs. So patriothousehold.com, patriotmobile.com fuels all of my phone calls, my texts, and my selfies all across this nation. We switched a few months ago, and it has been seamless service. That Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative wireless provider in the United States. So spend your dollars wisely, vote with your wallets, and also check out on our main website, gunfreedomradio.com, scroll down for attorneys on retainer, because if you are forward thinking enough to have a tool of self-protection and the training, you also need to have an attorney on retainer, and they fuel our work as well. All right. If you want to hear our audio only version, go to our website of the audio only version of our shows. Go to our website, gunfreedomradio.com, click the on demand tab, and
Binge listen to your heart's content.
darling. And if you want to see links and photos and bios of all of the guests we've ever had on, great subject matter experts, click the guest tab. It's an ever-growing database of subject matter experts. And when you spend time there, we don't hate that. All right. And again, if you want to see the video, go to YouTube, go to Rumble, go to any of those video streaming services. Please hit the notifications and the subscribe button. It really does make an impact and a difference to how we are viewed by those platforms. And it gives us a hedge against cancel culture. All right. Until next time, we are going to
Pray for our nation.
And
Pray for,
people in leadership positions.
yeah.
He always chokes on that word leadership, and I understand why. But what about the ones we don't really like? I mean,
Get rid of them.
we mentioned one
Oh, get rid of them.
in Virginia,
Oh,
but until we can vote them out,
they
maybe
are
pray
not leaders. You tell me
especially for them.
you tell me a Democratic politician in Virginia that is a leader.
Okay, so if people are following them, then guess what they are? They're a leader.
No.
They're not a leader we would agree with.
They're not leaders. They're politicians that are taking over us.
Well, let's pray especially for them. All right. Until next time. Now that I've irritated Dan.
I'm not.
Be good to each other.
I'm not going to pray to anybody.
Have a great
I'm not going
week.
to pray for anybody that took our gun rights into Virginia. I'm not. I'm just not. You just know it right now.
And God bless.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.